Welcome to this video on probability. We will cover the basic definitions, sample space diagrams, relative frequency, and the difference between independent and dependent events. Presented by science. The probability of an event happening is calculated by dividing the number of favorable outcomes by the total number of possible outcomes. Probability is measured on a scale from 0 to 1. 0 represents an impossible event, while 1 represents a certainty. In between, we have unlikely, even chance, and likely events. Sample space diagrams help us list all possible outcomes of two events. For example, they are useful when calculating the totals of 2 dice rolls in a game. When there is no theoretical way to predict a probability, we use relative frequency. Because this is often based on experiments, it is also known as experimental probability. Relative frequency allows us to estimate probabilities in real-world scenarios. For example, we can determine the probability of picking a vegetarian from a group by conducting a survey. If a survey of 200 students finds that 28 are vegetarian, the relative frequency is 28 out of 200, which simplifies to 0.14, or a 14% chance. Accuracy increases with larger sample sizes. By recording frequencies, we can calculate probabilities for various outcomes, such as the color of cars passing a house. We can also use these results to make predictions about larger sets of data. Let's warm up with an example. Given a bag of beads with different colors, we can find the probability of choosing a specific color by dividing its count by the total number of beads. In this section, our objectives are to determine whether events are independent or dependent, and to find the probability of such events. Key terms for this segment include independent events, dependent events, and conditional probability. Events are independent if the occurrence of one does not affect the probability of the other. Tossing a coin twice is a classic example of independent events. For independent events A and B, the probability of both occurring is calculated by multiplying the individual probability of A by the individual probability of B. Consider a 6-sided cube with specific labels. If we want to find the probability of rolling a 2 twice, we multiply the probability of rolling a 2 on the first toss by the probability of rolling it again. Similarly, we can find the probability of a sequence of independent events, like tossing a red, then white, then yellow side, by multiplying their individual probabilities together. Let's apply these principles to an example. For instance, calculating the probability of rolling a 6 on 2 separate number cubes involves multiplying the probability of rolling a 6 on the first cube by the probability of rolling a 6 on the second. Alternatively, when tossing a coin 3 times, we calculate the probability of a specific sequence, like heads, heads, and tails, by multiplying the probability of each independent result. Now let's explore dependent events. These occur when the outcome of one event influences the probability of the next, such as picking fruit from a bag without replacing it. When drawing from a bag with 2 lemons and 1 lime, your first choice affects the remaining items, thus changing the probability for the second draw. This tree diagram illustrates the changing probabilities for picking 2 pieces of fruit, showing how the second choice depends on the first. We can also use sample space grids to solve complex probability problems. For example, by mapping the sums of 2 dice, we can easily identify the odds of rolling a 7 or an odd number. In this experiment, Tom selects cubes from a bag and replaces them each time. This repetition allows us to calculate the experimental probability for future selection. Based on Tom's data, we can estimate the likelihood of picking specific colors, like red or white, simply by looking at the frequency of his previous results. However, it is important to remember that experimental results are estimates. Just because a color doesn't appear in a small sample, it doesn't mean it isn't present in the bag. Frequency trees are excellent tools for organizing categorical information, especially when we need to find probabilities from complex sets of data. Although they don't look like trees found in nature, these diagrams use branches to map out how frequency is distributed across different categories. Let's look at an exam-style question involving 90 children on a school trip to practice completing a frequency tree based on provided data. By methodically filling in the missing values in our frequency tree, we can easily answer specific questions about the probability of a student's gender or trip destination. Using our completed diagram, we can quickly determine the probability of a randomly chosen child being a girl who visited the river. Finally, we apply this to a burger van scenario with 350 customers. Breaking the data down step by step makes calculating these probabilities straightforward. Let's solve this exam-style question. By organizing the 350 customer choices into a frequency tree, we can identify specific groups. When asked for the probability of a customer choosing onions given they picked a hot dog, remember to use only the hot dog total as your denominator.